Hi everybody, I'm actually a little bit nervous about making this video because it's the most personal video I've done yet, but I've had so many people ask me for it that I figured it's just time. So basically this is a video on how I pretty much changed my entire life almost practically overnight. And everywhere I go lately, I've been stopped a lot by people who know me and who say they can tell something's changed. You look fantastic, you look great. Like, what's going on? You know, because people don't expect anyone to be doing really well right now. And one of my friends said she could tell that I'm doing really well and that it's not a fake it till you make it type of thing, but that I'm actually like really doing well. So a few people have asked me to share what I've been doing because it's a very specific process, and I thought maybe I could share it on a little bit of a larger scale, because if these ideas help, you know, even one or two people, then it'd be totally worth being vulnerable enough to share. So if you're watching this, I have to kind of assume that you're looking for a change in your life as well. And if that's the case, then you might be in a position like I was when I started this process, where I just was at the lowest that I've ever been, and stuck in depression and hopelessness, and kind of a few of my friends and I have been talking about this because they're in a similar situation, or they know someone who is and they don't know how to help them. But it's like a Groundhog Day type thing where every day you know this isn't right. You know this isn't you. This isn't how you should live your life or want to live your life. And you know you have to change or something major is going to happen, but you just don't know how. You don't know where to start or what to do. So I was living that way for months, and it's not super shocking to anybody to find out someone that they love is feeling that way right now because of everything that's going on around us. But some people get stuck in it more than others. And I think for me, I was one of those who started to kind of bring everyone around me down with me. So basically, as things in life continued from the beginning of COVID until about 5 weeks ago, they just continued to spiral down, and I felt like I kept getting hit by blow after blow after blow. And then I crashed as hard as I could. I woke up about 5 weeks ago and I realized that I truly had two choices. I could very understandably and justifiably rest in a state of just like devastation and depression, or I could fight my way out of it. And to me, that was the only real option, because I felt like this was, a life or death fight. It really did feel like it was coming to that drastic of a point for me. So I came up with some ideas, like I brainstormed, I came up with some ideas and basically just started doing everything opposite of how I was doing it. So if I slept in the morning, instead I got up and walked the dogs. If I would normally drink alcohol, I would drink water instead. If I would normally like run away from something, I would sit and think about it. So I tried to really do everything the opposite, and I enacted this routine day, like this whole plan. And I have to say, it worked so fast and it changed things for me so quickly. And I think that the key in that is because it's all really little things, like really little manageable, reachable things. And those accumulate over time into huge changes. So without dragging it on any further, I'll get into what it is I'm actually doing that has made me feel so happy and so much better and peaceful and calm and just filled with all the good things. And the number one thing I realized, I was listening to a podcast with some Navy SEALs, and one of them had said, your words are your rudder. Whatever you say out loud is the direction your life is going to go. And that hit me like so hard, because I realized, from the beginning of March, from the beginning of the pandemic until recently, my words had been entirely negative. And whatever you're saying out loud is what you're thinking in your head. And whatever you're saying and thinking is exactly the direction your life goes. And for me, for a while, it was almost like I felt obligated to speak negatively because everybody else was too. And so it's like, even if you're having like a really great day and someone asks how things are going, you almost feel like you're not really allowed to say like, I'm having a kick-ass day in the middle of everything that's been going on, you know? So I got stuck in a loop of constantly saying the worst, like, life sucks, this year sucks, 2020 sucks. That's the thing you keep hearing on repeat over and over. So I made a decision that day 5 weeks ago. I would no longer talk in a negative way, that I would only say the good and speak the good into existence. And even if it didn't totally feel that way, I would find something to be thankful or grateful for. So most of the time when somebody asks me how I'm doing, I say I'm doing great. And it's the truth, because if I sit and think about it on a grander scale, I'm healthy, my family's healthy, I'm happy, I have a roof over my head, I have food in my stomach, I have Christmas that I'm celebrating with my family. There's so many things to be thankful for. You know, my dogs are healthy, business is good. It doesn't even take very much effort to think of the great things. So that's my automatic reaction now, is I'm doing great. Things are really great. Now, could I come up with some things that aren't great? I really could, but I don't want to speak more of that into existence. I don't want to focus on that, dwell on that. I want to focus on only what's good, so more good will come into my life. So that's the number one thing, is to remember that words are your rudder. So speak only positive. The number two thing I came up with, which is, I didn't really realize how big of a deal it was going to end up being for me. But growing up as a kid, my dad always taught us that you have to always take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit. You can't just take care of one or two. You have to do all three in order to actually be healthy and happy and fulfilled. So I made a chart and I broke it into sections: body, mind, and spirit. And on the chart, I came up with some ideas for each. And I think it's important to note that I did hard things and easy things. So like under the body category, for example, it's something as simple as stretching, or taking my dogs for a walk, or taking my daily vitamins, because I was being so inconsistent about that. It's a pretty important time of year to take your vitamins. I put on there like intense photography days, because some of my work days I end up walking 5 miles or more and carrying backpacks around. And then more intense things that I was hoping eventually I'd do, like go to the gym. I didn't even have a gym membership. Go for a run. I haven't ran consistently in years. Under mind, I put things like read, meditate, study something new, do some writing, listen to a podcast, take an online course, things like that. And under spirit, I put pray, do volunteer work, perform a random act of kindness, have a long talk with a loved one, which is basically, you know, connecting with somebody you care about, or doing a big project on my house, which really helps me feel fulfilled. So anyways, I gave myself lots of options in each category, and there's no set goal to it. There's nothing I have to be accountable to, like if I don't do this X number of things, then I've failed. It's more of just like to keep track of how balanced I'm being. What I think is important to note is that I started really small. I didn't jump in and say like, well, I have to like go to the gym, lift weights, go for a run in order to fulfill the body category. Something as small as walking my dogs around the block worked. And so that's all I did at first. Like the first week, I just made sure no matter how I felt that I took them for a walk first thing in the morning. And then a week later, I went and joined the gym because I was totally like motivated and pumped. So now I went from a really small thing to a large thing. And also looking back, I think I only missed one day over the last 5 weeks of taking my vitamins, stuff like that. So you can look at the chart and see I'm taking really care of my body, my mind, and my spirit. So another important thing I think to note is that this created a really positive feedback loop for me, because at the end of the day, I sit down and I check off what things I did that day. And it's so cool some days to see, like, I did way more than I even realized, and it didn't feel like work. It didn't feel like something I had to do or a chore. I checked all these things off, and then it makes me the next day want to do more. So I wake up and I think, oh, it's going to feel really good to do these few things that I know I'm going to do on the list. And then that makes me want to do even more things, which makes me feel better because I'm taking care of myself, which makes me want to do more things. So it starts this whole positive feedback loop. So that chart has been totally life-changing, and I'm happy to send like a blank version to anyone that wants. I've helped a couple people make these already, so I can send you like a blank version to print out if you want, so you can fill in your own things that make you feel like you're taking care of your body or your mind or your spirit. So that's the second thing. So the third thing is I've created bookends to my day. And what I mean by that is I have a morning routine and a bedtime routine that I do not stray from. I have not even one single time, no matter what, no matter if I sleep in, no matter if I get home late, no matter what it is, I do my morning routine and my bedtime routine the same every day. And I call them my bookends because it doesn't matter how big the books are in the middle of the day, how heavy anything is, those bookends keep everything in place. And it's, I think, the single thing that's made the biggest difference for me. Part of this started because about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I'd reached out to a friend and asked for a little bit of help with what I was dealing with at the time. And this friend sent me a Bible devotional, which is something I've never dipped into ever. But I was at the time willing to try anything to feel better and to keep moving forward in life. So this one's called New Morning Mercies. And I've never been like, I'm a very spiritual person, not necessarily super religious. So this was like a totally new habit for my brain. So that's kind of what started it out. So my morning routine is, first of all, no cell phone. The cell phone stays on the nightstand, and I do not touch it even to see what time it is. Now that's like a privilege I have because I don't have to use an alarm because my work takes place later in the day. Make sure this is still going. Okay. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I visualize what I want for my life. I visualize myself living the life I want. Specific goals some days. Some days I am visualizing manifesting a specific goal or a specific thing or future. And some days it's just a little more general, but no matter what, I start the day by picturing how I want to be, how I want to live, how I want to feel. And once I've kind of finished that part, then I immediately go into praying on it or meditating on it, however you want to look at it. I ask for help. Like, thank you for what I do have, and please help me figure out how to get where I want to be. And I also, as a part of that daily routine, I've been praying for other people to have the things that I wish I had, which is probably a whole nother video. So it starts with visualizing what I want, praying or meditating on it, and then I read the daily devotional, which is just one page. After I've done all that, then I can check my phone, respond to messages, get up, feed the dogs, and then go about my day. The end of day routine is totally different. It's usually when I sit down with my chart and I fill out what things I did that day. And then I also have a letter I wrote to the universe of the way I want my life to be. And this is a really common practice in the law of attraction, in manifesting things you want. And it's something I've done many times and every time successfully. Every time I've ever written a letter like this and read it daily, everything on the list has come true. So why I didn't do this for the last 6, 8, 9 months, I don't know. But I did it 5 weeks ago, and I love reading it right before I go to bed. Big thing about this is you want to write the letter as if everything's already happened. It's a thank you letter. Thank you so much that I have this, that my life is like this. It's the things that I'm visualizing in the morning. So before I fall asleep, they're what's bouncing around in my head. And your subconscious is really powerful. It goes to work on that for you. And then I read until I'm too tired to stay awake. And the book that has, I think, been just the most life-changing thing. It's called The Power of Positive Thinking. It's by Norman Vincent Peale. And this is a book I've been told 100 times to read in my life. I even ordered it probably 4 or 6 months ago and just carried it around with me, never cracked it. And then once I did, 5 weeks ago, I couldn't put it down. I'm an active reader with a highlighter, a pen, taking notes and underlining. This is very much a spiritual, religious, positive thinking book, but I totally dug it at this point in my life. It relates Bible verses to your current life and other people's stories to your life, and it basically just tells a bunch of stories of how people used positive thinking and manifesting what they wanted in life to completely change their lives. It's a really easy read and it's fun, and I'm actually on my second round of reading it now because I went through it pretty quickly. So that's the bookend at the end of the day. So it's visualize what I want, pray on it, read the devotional, go about my day, and then do my checklist, read my letter, my thank you letter to the universe, and then read something positive. I think I've read 3 books now in 5 weeks, and then I'm back around to this one. So like, as long as it's something positive, it's something that's gonna fill you up. I also read the Garen Jones book, and I'm in the Jay Shetty book. So anyway, that's the bookends to my day. And then so the fourth and final thing that I did that has totally, transformed my life in such a short time is just to remember to live in the law of attraction. This is something I learned years ago, and it was pretty life-changing for me. It's something I used it to buy my house. I used it to manifest every great thing that I've had in my life. Somehow the negativity of this past year let me forget that. If you focus on positive, you will have positive. If you focus on negative, you will have negative. It's pretty obvious what I was focused on for month in and month out for the longest time, because that's what my life ended up reflecting. And I ended up just truly devastated because I had been focusing on nothing but devastation. So now at this point in my life, my focuses are on absolute pure love and fulfillment and health and wealth and happiness, and more than anything, love. The people around me that I love, I try to just embody and be love and ooze love onto the people around me and be thankful for all of it. This is a time when so many people feel disconnected and lonely, and those are things I'm not willing to fill at all, and I don't need to, because I'm surrounded by wonderful people, and I've also learned that I can be all those things completely for myself when I need to. I have notes here, that's why I keep looking down. I didn't want to forget anything important. I think what's really important about what I did here, the changes that I made, is that I feel truly happy. I feel fulfilled, and I built this foundation myself. So it wasn't hinging on anyone or anything or any circumstances. So as long as I stick with this, it doesn't matter what Gavin Newsom says or does. It doesn't matter who ends up being our president. It doesn't matter if I can go to work today or not, because what truly matters, the way I feel and the way I make the other people around me feel, is built on a foundation that none of that can touch. And I think that's really important for everybody to find a way to do that for themselves. If you hinge your happiness and your well-being on somebody else or something else or life circumstance or an election result, like, you're destined for failure. So I see on both sides of every aisle, political aisles, coronavirus debates, I see on both sides, regardless of how people feel or think, it seems like everyone's waiting for someone to save them. They're waiting for the president to be announced. They're waiting for things to open back up. They're waiting for a vaccine to come out, or they're waiting for mask mandates to go away, or whatever it is, so that they can go back to living their life. And I'm here to tell you that I get so emotional sometimes, but I promise you, today is the most important day of your life. If there's anything that I have learned, and most of you have learned it, whether it's clicked or not, everything can just be gone tomorrow. You can lose the most important people in your life. You can lose your job, your money, whatever it is that your life consists of can just be gone tomorrow. Today truly is the most important day of your life, and if you don't fix what's broken now, it will only be more broken again tomorrow. So quit waiting for somebody to save you and realize like you're the only one that can do it. And the only thing it requires is changing your mind. It's all mindset. I made a wallpaper on my phone, and it literally says mindset is everything. So every time I check my phone, which is 1,000,000 times a day, like everyone else, I have that reminder going in my head that the difference between a good day and a bad day is my choice. The difference between thriving and falling apart right now is my choice. It's all a decision you make in your head. And I one more note in my list down here. I wrote that I wanted to point out that I think a lot of times when people decide to make a huge life change, the reason that fails, myself included in the past, is because they're aiming for too big of changes. And the reason that this has been successful for me is because it's tiny little things. Like, none of this felt hard. I didn't join a gym and say I was going to work out for 2 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. I literally said, if all I do is stretch for 5 minutes today, that's getting checked off on my chart of things I did awesome. And those little things though, just visualizing the life that you want to have every day for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that little change, it accumulates over time. So you do realize like a few days later, holy cow, I feel way better. And a month later, it's like a whole new life just because of little tiny habits that you had. So I hope some of this information can help some of you. I felt so lost for so long, and I really was waiting for things to get better and not realizing like you just spend the rest of your life waiting for that. If you continue to keep yourself in a position where you're totally depressed and miserable, things could get better around you, and you're not going to get better because you're so stuck in the mud that you're not going to climb your way out. So I'll leave you with one more piece of wisdom from Papa Wayne, as we call my dad. He also used to say when we were growing up, when things would go bad, when, sometimes in life from time to time you fall into a pit. Like you stumble and you fall, something happens and you hit the bottom. And when you're down there, you have two choices. You can set up shop and decorate it and like, this is where I live now, and make it comfortable for yourself, or you can start climbing out. So this was my way of climbing back out. And I think if I realized how great it was going to feel and how easy it would go for me, I would have started a lot sooner. We all have to find that on our own. My sister and I have talked a lot about, a couple of the people that we wish we could help more in our lives, and we realized like you can't. People have to come to this on their own. So hopefully if you're watching this video, it's because you're at the point that you're ready to start climbing out of that pit. And totally, as always, reach out to me if there's anything I can do or you need from me. I'd be happy to email you like a version of that chart that you can change or customize to make your own, or some of the books that I've been reading that have been really amazing. I'd be happy to send you the names of those. I hope everyone listening to this finds peace and happiness in themselves and love, and just spreads that all around, because we need more of that these days. And I hope everyone has a really awesome holiday week ahead, and I'm sure I will be seeing you all soon.